This is the future. This is not the past.
The new XFL will kick off in 2020.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
It's still football, but it's professional football reimagined.
This is our moment, our story to tell. This is history begun.
This is the XFL!
Welcome, football fans. This is January 21st, 2020. This is a training camp scrimmage, and this is the XFL show. I'm Alan.
And I'm Bryant.
Today we come to you from TDECU Stadium, where we just witnessed the Dragons of Seattle and the Defenders of DC go at it in a live scrimmage. This is episode 106, dress rehearsals. I'm dressed nicer for a show than I've ever been dressed before, Brian.
You're not dressed for the weather, though, Alan. I'll tell you that much.
So cold.
It is very cold out here in Houston, but the stadium seems to be heating up quite a bit. We just had our first scrimmage between the Dragons and the Defenders, like you just mentioned, so we're going to recap that here today. But, man, it's been great out here in Houston.
Yes, with only 2.5-ish weeks until kickoff. We've got a lot on deck on this new Tuesday edition of the show. Like we said on the last episode, new schedule, Tuesday mornings and Thursday nights. We're going to give you 2 episodes every single week, so stay subscribed on any podcast app and make sure you got those alerts on, because we're going to be coming at you twice a week and more as needed, but definitely 2 times every single week. So here it is, our first Tuesday episode, and we have a lot to get into. We've got a good, crisp interview with a Tampa Bay Vipers player you're going to learn about. We've got to recap this scrimmage we just watched and some really big news transaction-wise to get into in the XFL. The number to call if you ever want to leave a voicemail and be on the show is 724-565-4XFL. And, of course, we are at XFL Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you ever want to reach us on social media. And we had a whole lot of fun with some shenanigans and chicanery and goofballing around TDECU Stadium on Sunday, Bryant. Nobody was looking, and we basically took our phones and social media, and we went on the field and did whatever really the hell we wanted to do.
Have you recuperated from that 25-second play clock demonstration that we put on our Twitter?
I'm fine there, but my arm is sore from throwing that ball a lot at the Guardians practice on Friday.
Still a little sore.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We took over TDECU Stadium. We went all over the place, Alan. Really, we went back behind the scenes, up into the stands, on the field, gave you a glimpse of what an XFL stadium, an official XFL stadium would be from the eyes of an official XFL podcast.
Yeah, from and fans really just on a football field trying to figure out what do we do. We got the day here to do whatever. We didn't have a football though. I forgot mine at home. You forgot yours.
Go Guardians.
And somehow all the Roughnecks footballs were stashed away somewhere. So we had fun though. We ran outside, took some videos. If you missed any of them, check them out on our Twitter feed at XFL Show. We had some fun. I also walked you through the kickoff, the rules and the setup and how everything will look. If you haven't visualized that yet, we tried to help fans walk through it. That was cool, and we got to see an actual kickoff, a handful of them today in the scrimmage, but definitely check our run through. You're going to be thoroughly prepared because we walked the entire way through what it's going to be like when they actually kick the ball off, this new kickoff setup. And of course, Vince would tell you, he's not here, but if you really want to read all about the rules, you go to xfl.com/rules.
Who else do you think out there has it as their homepage? Because I know Vince does still. Yeah. He FaceTimed me the other day, and I saw it in the background. I know some people out there do as well. I still have the paper copy. I bet Jim
Zorn does.
Jim Zorn does?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
still have the paper copy in my backpack that I carry around with me every time in case I have to reference them at any point during the day. Because you never know when people ask you. Because, wearing this XFL hat all the time, walking around with this all-access pass out here in Houston, people are asking you all types of questions.
I think Rob Lowe saw you wearing that XFL hat, so he decided to wear that
generic
NFL hat. The XFL hat's where it's at, though.
There's some great gear out here, by the way, that we haven't seen in the shop.
Man.
I can't wait till they put some of this stuff out there. There's some good stuff out here.
Yeah, we got some first looks at some stuff that we're going to talk about, too. Some of it's on social media. Some of it was just in the stadium today. And we'll talk about everything that we were able to put our eyeballs on it and get involved with. But one of the coolest things we were involved with the entire weekend we were here for training camp, you and I are both leaving before the other scrimmages tomorrow, but we got to experience a whole lot. And I think the coolest was earlier today, assisted on a league production that's going to be announced soon. We can't say what it was, but we got to have a hand in it and help out with the preparation for what the league's going to be doing with that. And I got to say, it's something super cool is coming that I think fans are going to love.
Well, I think the fans are going to love everything the league is doing when it comes to production and what they're putting into. I mean, we're out there, and this is work. This is all fun and games right now because we're podcasting and we love podcasting, but there's a lot of serious production going into every single one of these games, and we were just a little piece, I think, Alan, of something. So I can't wait for the league to bring that up. But yes, I expect a lot of stuff from the league that, maybe just you wouldn't have expected a couple months ago.
Yeah, and not to mention the big moves being made by the teams, the league and the staff in terms of the content. And they got some big plans, and then now the networks are involved. We saw ESPN people running around the stadium all day today
and yesterday,
doing their thing, getting set up, getting ready, doing their own dress rehearsals, as it were. We saw some of the graphics they're going to be using. It just looks awesome to see, that official ESPN logo and their lower thirds on a TV screen. It just looks really cool and, like it's real. And it is. I can't believe it.
And we also did see the official XFL on ESPN logo. That's all out there, too, if you can find it. It's a lot of...
It's coming. It's coming to your TV screens.
Fox is here tomorrow, Tuesday, the day this show drops. So everybody's going through their due diligence here to make sure that this kickoff goes out without a hitch.
And the best part about it is it's all, a lot of it is honestly trial and error. I'm sure they're going to try some things and maybe make tweaks or changes or scrap stuff. But the thing is, there's a lot of attempts being made to really interact with fans, give access to fans, do interesting, entertaining stuff on the field from the broadcast side and from the league itself and the website and XFL.com and YouTube and social media and all that. I mean, we saw a lot of cool stuff that I've never seen on a college football broadcast or an NFL broadcast being attempted and tried during this scrimmage earlier today. And not to mention, they're on this field that we've been walking around now the past few days, and it feels like an XFL field and stadium. All they have to do is rip up the grass and put all that XFL grass on it now, and it's
turf.
100%
It's turf out there. It's turf, not grass. But yeah, it will be decked out because the stadium looks nice with all the XFL markings out there, the Houston Roughnecks markings. We had the LED boards going. The game was up on the big board as well. So this is a feel of a game. Yeah. It was pretty intense, pretty exciting. I can't believe we're here. I mean, that's the thing, right? When we started this so many years ago, I can say years, right? Or can I say decades?
No, it's years.
It's a decade. How many? Our show has spanned 2 decades.
It has.
It really has. To be on the field during these scrimmages is actually quite a feeling that I know I can feel.
Surreal.
It's surreal.
It really
is.
Yeah, because you've been talking about a league that really hasn't existed for now 2 years, basically.
2 decades.
Yeah, and we're here now, and we saw the first really official run-through of it was like a real game feel. They were out here scrimmaging, and they had also the bells and whistles of what you will see in game day in terms of the atmosphere of the stadium.
Spotters.
There was a band.
We're going to get into all this, Alan,
there
later.
Was a freaking band here. They're still playing. You can probably hear them in the background.
We're going to go into all the little different things that we did see and that the XFL did confirm on Twitter a little bit in the cover too, Alan. But we got a lot lined up. Like you said, we have the Good Crisp interview. We got some breaking news to talk about that broke late Sunday night that we have to talk right here now.
Yeah. Big signings as well. At XFL Show, we want to know your reaction to anything you're seeing on social media from us, or of course, if any of these moves that get made, like Nick Fitzgerald getting signed by St. Louis. The quarterback played for Mississippi State. Big, tough quarterback. I mean, this is a guy who beat LSU. I was covering LSU, and Mississippi State was a tough out for them back then. And Nick Fitzgerald is a guy that could move with his legs and throw the ball very far down the field. And he gets added to a locker room that we already had question marks about. They have multiple guys we could see starting in St. Louis at quarterback. And now they had Nick Fitzgerald. And Vince and I were texting right when we saw the move made. Like, another one. I don't want to be Jonathan Hayes having to make that decision. We'll see. But he's a valuable player, I think.
How many of those quarterbacks do you think he's going to hold on to?
I mean, now we're seeing, some coaches think maybe I got too many. Maybe I could get something else in return, a different style of quarterback. I don't know. We'll see. Moves are going to be made because we've got cuts coming up. And then who knows what kind of shuffling around of the decks are going to happen. Already we are seeing that. It is trading season in the XFL. But Nick Fitzgerald signs with the St. Louis BattleHawks, and I cannot wait to see him in their jersey. We're going to see a little bit of them here coming up shortly after we record this podcast. The second scrimmage of the day will start. We'll be able to watch a little bit of it before you and I both got to get on airplanes.
That's true.
But it's been awesome. It's been awesome to be around town as these moves are being made, because the gossip around league people and team people that we're interacting with saying, I can't believe, this move was made by this team, and that move, and yeah, I mean that move that we're going to talk about right now in this week's cover too.
They would have zero impact. The Wildcats will play Wildcat style of football with a Wildcat mentality.
Yeah, that move that was made.
That move.
Luis Perez of the LA Wildcats traded to the New York Guardians for quarterback Chad Knopf, formerly a Princeton quarterback, brought on to the Guardians mid-training camp, and now he is an LA Wildcat, and that is big news. Why? Because Luis Perez, the first assigned quarterback in the XFL to change teams, to get traded, and very, very, I won't say controversial, but unexpected.
It was unexpected, but we did know that there was going to be some sort of battle in LA, right, between Josh Johnson and Luis Perez when Josh Johnson got brought in late, right before minicamp. So to see this transpire the way it did, I didn't think Luis Perez was not going to be a Wildcat. I thought that they would keep both, but it seems as though the Wildcats were content with Josh Johnson's play, and they moved Luis Perez to hopefully give him a better opportunity somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think, some of us, Vince, who last show was talking about how he's not sold on Matt McGloin, might think maybe Perez can compete with Matt McGloin. It seems that by making this move, the Wildcats are saying that they're set on Josh Johnson as the quarterback, and that Jalen McClendon has shown enough probably during training camp that, they felt comfortable as him as the number 2. So they make the trade to send Luis Perez away, and now he's going to be in the Guardians, and we'll see what kind of opportunity he gets there. Interesting move to be made, though, when it was an assigned quarterback. We've seen other QBs get shuffled around so far, but this was one of the first 8.
I would say this is one of the bigger ones for sure. This is the first 8. Right before the draft, Luis Perez was assigned to the LA Wildcats, and now he's not. He's going to be with the New York Guardians. The New York Guardians have 2 assigned quarterbacks now on their roster. They and I believe the BattleHawks are the only teams that have the 2 assigned QBs, because I believe Seattle released theirs. In
Chase Layton.
Chase Layton. So the picture's getting clearer in terms of the quarterback battle in LA, but it got a little muddier in New York.
Although I will say that McGloin's picture's still up on all the subways, so I'm betting on him starting week 1. That also, I feel kind of bad for Luis Perez in that regard, because he gets traded at the end of training camp, so he doesn't really have any of camp to prove or compete for that starting job. So you got to assume week 1 he will not be starting for the Guardians. It will be McGloin, and we'll see what happens through the course of the year. But he has 2 weeks to learn that Kevin Gilbride playbook.
It's not a lot of time. I do expect him to be on their roster come opening day, but that's a good. I mean, if you think about that, I think that's a pretty good quarterback room. You have Marquise Williams there too. Don't forget about him. We saw him in practice over the weekend. He was dropping dimes, like I said. So it's a good quarterback battle. But you're right. It's probably going to be Matt McGloin, just for the simple fact that Luis Perez doesn't have enough time to actually get into that system and know it in and out.
Yep, and LA now it's clearer. Whereas before we were talking last episode, I believe we were putting them in the category, at least most of us were, as maybe up in the air, possibly competition still going on as camp's winding down. But that's Josh Johnson's spot now. Jalen McClendon, though, we've heard has looked really good in practice as well. So LA, they're confident in their guys. When you make a move like that, that's what you're showing. If you're it looks like Winston Moss as the general manager making that move, confident with the QBs he's got.
I did see on social media, Alan, that some people weren't sold on Luis Perez being a assigned quarterback. I love Luis Perez's play. When I saw him in the Alliance, I thought he did a really good job. He was one of the hotter names that come out. He's gotten many invitations to training camps in the NFL. So I like his skill set. I don't think this is so much a knock on Luis Perez as it is that the picture was just clearer in Josh Johnson.
Yep, and now we also have some other quarterback battles we have to put our more focus on now, and that's now in St. Louis. Who's gonna be the guy? Houston. My money's now on Phillip Walker, whereas if you asked me probably before training camp, I would have bet on Connor Cook. But just seeing them kind of in action a little bit during a practice. I don't know. I'll lean towards Phillip Walker, but we'll have to wait and see. Depth charts and all that, I'm sure, will not be coming out until right before kickoff in a couple of weeks. So we will keep everyone posted. We'll react. And
cut day is a couple days away too. Don't forget, we're going to get a lot clearer of a picture on many of these teams. Friday is, I believe, what it is. But it will be this week.
We're going to have to keep arguing, though, I think, even after the cut days on who's going to start. Who do you want starting? And that's also going to probably happen throughout the season. But a big move made there. Luis Perez, again, traded to the New York Guardians for Chad Kanoff, quarterback for quarterback in a New York and L.A. trade there. Let's go to this second part of the cover, too, Bryant, where we are going to talk about some of the cool things we got our eyeballs on. First looks at things like the referee uniforms, the hats, the red hat of the ball spotter, the pinstripes, and I don't know if it's the unis that the refs are wearing or if they're all just that yoked. Because these were the most in-shape referees I've ever seen.
The fast pace. You always talk about the linemen and everybody having to be in shape and good cardio for the fast pace of this game. But the referees got to do too. Anybody out there, if you're listening, that pinstripe XFL dark navy hat, wherever I can get that, please let me know. Because I'll pay for it. I just need to know where I can get it. Because that thing's pretty cool.
I know a guy, Bob. He might be able to help you. He's the man.
He is the man. Good storyteller.
We also got our eyes on the alternate logos on the scoreboards. At least for us, we saw. You know how we've seen these kind of on the website. You see them in between pages a little bit. The LA Wildcat Claw or the New York NYG that came out on New Year's. But during the game, where the scores were posted while we were watching it, we saw some. The kind of alternate logo or the secondary logo for at least for DC and for Seattle, and I thought that was pretty cool. That it's not just the regular old logo up on there. They've got other images and kind of logos to put up there, and that's, I think, exciting. Put that on a T-shirt, put it on a hat. I'll buy it, and I know fans will.
That's a T-shirt right
stuff.
There. I'm
exactly.
It is pretty cool to see those alternate logos up there and actually being used. We always wondered what these logos would do. Like we saw the New York Guardians, we had a whole discussion about what we thought that logo was actually going to be and where they were going to use it. And now we see where they're using it. So it's pretty cool. The XFL tweeted out a picture of those logos, so you can go check that out on their Twitter page at XFL 2020.
Yeah, and you've seen these logos if you've looked at the website closely, because they have been on there for a while, but now they're getting more use. And that, I thought it was also just the graphics on the boards all over during the scrimmage as they were testing out the game day atmosphere. Seeing XFL all around the ring of the LED board, kind of incredible. For the Love of Football painted everywhere. We saw the play clock and the even the yard markers with league logos on them. I mean, I like the branding of it all. And people asking us on Twitter, I know, what about the field? What about the field? Trust me, when you watch these games, from what we've seen, you're going to know you're watching an XFL football game.
That is very true. I feel like it now, and it still has the University of Houston field on it now. But you're right, on the field will make you feel like you are watching something different than what you're used to. So I'm really excited about that. What about those jerseys, though? Can we go back to those referee jerseys? Because we didn't spend enough time on them. They were very different. Very different. They're not your typical stripes.
They're not they're not stripes. They're more like, I don't know, flashes or like triangular, very like, they're almost like tiger stripes.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead of like referee stripes, because they don't go all the way across the body. The middle is just all blue. I don't know. I'm colorblind.
It's like what
dark blue.
The shirt looks like the referee jersey looks like what would happen if Ed Hockley ripped open his jersey.
Okay.
Right. That's about what it is.
Yeah. So it was a different kind of ref. But the thing I like is that I was skeptical about it when I saw them in the lobby at our hotel, because we were in the referee hotel. But when we saw them on the field, I knew who the refs were. They weren't blended in with players, even though they're as big as them. You could tell they looked like the referees. The ball spotter was in a different getup, though. He was wearing a red hat.
Yes, a red hat, very identifiable. So you're going to know who the ball spotter is. His sole job, like they said, spot the ball. And he actually winds the play clock, which is actually something that we didn't talk about. That was pretty cool. Alan, there was a lot of stuff going on during this scrimmage. But I was most excited, honestly, for all the fan access that we were seeing happening right in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because a lot of what they were doing today, who knows exactly how it will work on game day. But what we saw was, there was access, and when I say access, I mean interviews and people in the crowd. They had fans here. So there were some fans here there was a band and people who were, basically right on the field. You could see the players were yelling at people in the crowd. The players were yelling at each other. The players were talking to the PR people on their teams, and it looks like they're going to be doing some interesting interviews and stuff like that.
We saw a lot of, I will say a lot of, how do I put this? Animosity, maybe a little bit between these two teams. It's been a while. These guys wanted to play football.
You could tell these guys have maybe some of them had to wait a while to play in another football game.
And they were intense. We talked about the intensity level a few episodes ago, and it was to those standards, I would say, Alan. Maybe even beyond those when it came to the actual scrimmage.
Yeah, and as far as like the fan access, I'm going to tell you from what we were experiencing here as fans sitting, during the game, observing it all. It felt different being in the stadium. As a stadium viewer, there was less downtime. There was less time where you're rolling your eyes or looking for something to do. I barely looked at my phone during this, and I feel like that's because of all the action that's going on during the scrimmage and even in between plays of the scrimmage. And you'll see what goes down whenever we kick off in February. But man, that was interesting to see. A lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts during this game, but it all came together, and it was a successful scrimmage for the Dragons and for the Defenders, and we will get into everything we observed on the field during that scrimmage in a little bit. We got to take it back to our hotel where we were at, because we were in the referee hotel. We were also in the Tampa Bay Vipers hotel. We were all those players and personnel were in our hotel. We'd run into them, and credit to everybody at the Vipers, super helpful, because we ran into them in the lobby and said, hey, we got the podcast here, we got the setup. If you guys want to have anyone on the show, we'd love to have them. And thankfully, they gave us not only any player, but I think one of the best talkers we've had on the show, Jordan McCray, the center for the Tampa Bay Vipers, played at UCF, is used to fast-paced football, and is a hell of a player. And he joined us for a really, really solid conversation, had a lot of intelligent things to say about his time at training camp and the team building portion of the season, the preseason at least. And it was really cool to sit down in that lobby with him and get to know what it was like, because, man, it is a true camp. NFL players, when they go to camp, they're rolling up in fancy helicopters sometimes, and it's barely that kind of atmosphere. It's still luxury life living. These guys were down in the thick of it with each other, learning about each other, and also coming together as a team, and we learned that from Jordan McCray.
We did, and my favorite part is how he gets into the fact that it's time to hit some people. He loves his teammates. It's been fun playing with them, but now it's time to get on the field and hit some other people. So we're going to get into that. Thank you again to Jordan McCray here. But you're going to like this interview. You're right, Alan. He's one of the best talkers we've had.
Absolutely. And here it is. Let's take you to it. We've had a lot of conversations with players this week, and this might be one of the best. It's Jordan McCray, center for the Tampa Bay Vipers, in this week's Good Crisp interview. Training camp winding down, and you guys have been here in Houston a while. How was the experience overall, and how pumped are you for the early February and kickoff?
Oh, man, it's been a great experience the whole time that we've been here. The facilities that we've been able to use, Humble High, the hotel that we're staying at, has been really accommodable for all of us that's been here. And it's just been fun just to get back into football and be around some guys, really good players, and just start to gel as a team. And we're all really excited for February 9th.
Yeah, we've met up with some other teams and talked about them, the team building, the coming together as one, a collective, getting to know a lot of guys you never met before. How was that whole process? You met a lot of guys, but I'm sure bonded over the game a whole lot.
Yeah, and it's been a whole lot of fun, not just with this team, but we've seen 3 teams since we've been here. Practiced with them, New York, Houston, and Seattle, and it's just really, really cool to be around a whole bunch of guys that really love football. Like, everybody here for the love of the game, and they just love playing, and it's fun to be around football when everybody's enjoying it, because that's when you get the best out of it.
Well, you talk about February 9th, but here coming up in a couple of days, you got a scrimmage, full-on scrimmage. How does it feel to get your hand? You're going to get your hands on some of these other players now, right?
Yeah, man, that's the exciting part too, because I love all the guys on Tampa, man, but I'm ready to hit somebody else at this point. I'm ready to hit somebody else, so it's going to be a whole lot of fun on Tuesday.
How's Coach Trestman been kind of instilling this mentality of we've had him on the show. He's said how he's going to work every single aspect of this team. How's he been working the offensive line?
He's been doing a great job. I think Coach Trestman's been doing a great job, along with all the other coaches, and just making sure that we're everybody wants to be physical, but we want to be a very, very smart team as well. So the way we practice, how we practice against other teams, and making sure that everybody stays healthy, but make sure that we get a lot done with every rep that we have. So it's been really good so far.
And I'm sure you guys had to earn some reps because Coach Trestman told us before camp started that it was going to be a true competition for the Vipers. How was the atmosphere amongst your teammates, everybody trying to earn their spot, a lot of guys with chips on their shoulder in the league?
And you would think in an environment like that it would be hostile, but, man, everybody's been so great about it because, everyone knows that competition is going to bring the best out of you, and I feel like that's done with every single position group here, especially with the offensive line, because that's what I can speak of since I've been in the room the most. It's been a whole bunch of really good players trying to get out there and make this football team.
Yeah, let's talk position group, though. Let's go all line, man, because it's really interesting. The play clock is going to affect you guys in a different way compared to some of the other players. You're going to have great cardio. You're going to have to be fast, but coming from UCF, I'm sure you're used to it.
Yeah.
You guys never huddle, so how are you looking forward to that, the play clock?
I know we're going to have to move a lot faster, so the offensive line, even though we're big, we're going to have to move fast too. Maybe a little tired, but I think it's something that we can adjust to. We've been adjusting to it in camp, so come February when we actually have to do that, it's not in a practice environment but a game environment, I think we'll be more than ready for it.
Well, I know you're going to do a lot better than my friend Alan here. We tried to simulate it today at the stadium. He wasn't doing too well. He was playing guard. And
I had like 4 seconds to spare.
What about the headset communications? Because as the offensive line, you really don't have that, right? Everybody else is going to have coaches in their ear.
Right.
Are you relying more on your quarterback or the sideline? How are you going to be ready for the next play?
I think mostly we're just going to rely on the quarterback. The coaches are going to talk to the skill guys, and then they'll relay the messages to us. That's how we've been doing it in practice, so that's how it'll be in the game, and things have been going smooth, so I don't see it being a problem.
You don't feel left out that all those other guys did?
I feel a little bit better about it because I don't kind of want to hear nobody talking to my
yelling in your ear while you're playing.
Yeah, I rather I don't want to. Oh, Jordan, you missed this block. You know what? I just want to go to the next play. So
yeah, and you want to be able to talk to your opponent. I played offensive line in high school, and that's a lot of chatter between you and your opponent. So how so far with the joint practices and the competition level and the physicality of it all, and everybody just everybody's trying to make a living playing football, and a lot of guys have something to prove in the XFL. How was it getting those joint practices, and what do you expect come February?
It was a whole lot of fun. It was a lot of trash talking too, but that's just a part of the game. And I enjoy it. John back with the guys. Saying what you're gonna do, actually doing it, and seeing what they have to say about it. It's all a part of the game. So I loved it. Every joint practice we had, I really enjoyed it.
Well, the journey to get here, right? We're right around the corner. A few weeks away from kickoff, you're going to be in MetLife Stadium. That just to say those words, MetLife Stadium. This is big time football. I think fans can expect the real deal, right? With the XFL, this is going to be great football.
Yeah, this is good. It's going to be really great football, and because we just have great everything from top to bottom. Great coaches, great facilities that we're working in. A whole bunch of great players. A lot of guys that have played on Sundays before, and for one reason or another isn't there yet or didn't get a chance to get back. So it's going to be a lot of talented players on the field, and it's going to make for a really good product, I think.
I think so, too. And you guys been down here in Houston. It's a real professional atmosphere. Like you said, the facilities and everything going into it, everybody feels comfortable and prepared going into it, I'm sure. And you now know your teammates, and you guys are all ready for the season to kick off. Talk about some of your teammates. Which guys are you getting along with the most? How are you enjoying your quarterbacks? You're playing center. You got Aaron. You got Taylor. What's up with the teammates? What do you guys? What's the real bond like for the Vipers?
It's a lot of funny guys on our team, and I feel like that brings us a lot closer. The tight end group has a funny group. Colin's a really funny tight end. All the quarterbacks have their different personalities, and that's fun to get along with as well. And then the offensive line, we have a real tight group already, just being together in OTAs and stuff like that, and then coming here in camp, always being around each other, and it's been a whole lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. And
it's got to be pretty cool for you and some of your fellow linemen from Florida getting to play in Tampa. It's got to be pretty special.
Yeah, it definitely is. A lot of these guys I played with before, or from Miami, or just from around the way. Like, football is such a small world once you get to this level. So a lot of those guys I have a familiarity with. So it's been really cool to gel with them again.
Well, like I said, your season's kicking off in New York. I think week 3 you're going to be in Tampa. What can fans expect from the Vipers? What is Vipers football?
Fast, ferocious, a whole bunch of guys that love playing ball, so they're going to love watching us play. And a very smart team, very smart and disciplined team. That's what they're going to see.
That's a Marc Trestman football team. I'm expecting it. I'm hyped to see the Vipers take the field. Jordan, thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck. Thank you.
I kind of threw it out there, Bryant, to try to get him to maybe say which quarterback he preferred.
He tried.
Having his hand underneath him, Taylor Cornelius or Aaron Murray. But, I didn't want to go that deep into it. Don't want to reveal too much, but I think they got 2 good quarterbacks in Tampa Bay nonetheless. But Jordan McCray and that offensive line, they're going to be pretty good. And if that Marc Trestman offense does what a Marc Trestman offense can do, Jordan McCray is going to be a very big part of it.
Thank you to the staff down in Tampa for getting us the access that we did. We also got introduced to Coach Trestman, don't forget. That was pretty cool. A kind, very tall man. But
friend of the show, listens to the show.
Very excited, loves our passion. Coach Trestman, but the whole Tampa Bay organization, I feel like they're well off, Alan, in terms of what they have in terms of skill level, position, and character. Jordan McCray was an example of all 3 of those, so I'm really excited to see them take the field. Unfortunately, we're not going to be here for their scrimmage, but I am excited because they are visiting the Wildcats, I believe, week 6?
Yeah, so we were able to get a taste of every single team, or we are about to get our last taste of the 2 teams we haven't really interacted with. That's the Renegades and St. Louis, but we were at a Roughnecks practice and 2 practices for the Roughnecks. We were at a Wildcats practice. We had dinner with the Wildcats. We, hung out at the hotel with the Vipers and got to know people on that team. And then for the Guardians, we went to their practice. That was our first place we went to. So we, dipped our toe, and then we saw the Defenders and Dragons today. Dipped our toe into each team's waters, as it were, and got to experience all of them. And I can say not one team is like the other in this league. They all do things a little bit differently in their own way. Which way is going to be the best way? We're going to find out starting on February 8th. And if I had a prediction right now, I don't know. I have no idea. I also got to see what Dallas and St. Louis are about to do in this scrimmage that's going to start. But I have to say there is something that actually legitimately impressed me from each and every single one of these teams. There's a lot of team speed, I think, in the back end for the Guardians we've already talked about. And then today, oh man, we got some things to talk about from that scrimmage we watched today.
Well, let's get to it, Alan, because I've been holding it in for this long. I want to get to that scrimmage.
All right, yes. The Dragons and the Defenders just finished up, and we're going to tell you everything we witnessed here in this scrimmage in this week's Hot Read. Top of the list, Cardale Jones' arm still there. Can still throw the ball 70 yards down the field like nothing. And we saw a lot of impressive individual performances and plays made in this scrimmage. Let's talk about it. Seattle and D.C. Bryant. Starting off, the entrances, they came out. This was not a packed house because it was a controlled environment. This was just a scrimmage, basically a practice. But we did the entrances. We did this thing like it was a game.
National anthem.
And it was wild. It felt real. It felt legit. And the players were as hyped as I think they're going to be on February 8th. They're going to be more hyped on February 8th when these 2 teams go out. But that's hard to imagine because they came out pretty ready and excited.
Pretty ready, pretty excited. It was pretty cool. The atmosphere, even though there wasn't too much in terms of the fans, everything else seemed totally legit, totally
These players weren't playing like it was like it was just a scrimmage. It felt like a real game to all of them.
There could have been 30,000 people in the stands. They would have played the same, maybe even more intense. But
they were in their gear. Yeah. They were ready to go, and we saw that. We saw, Cardale Jones going out there making smart decisions, throwing the ball deep. We saw players, get a little physical. Maybe a little too physical with each other at times. But you know what? It was football, and that was fun to see. It wasn't patty cake out there.
It was not. Going into the game to start the game, it was a little weird. I'm not going to lie. A little weird not to see a coin toss happen, but that was all taken care of before the game. But everything leading up to it felt just the same as if you were watching any other football game. But like I said, the intensity level of these players, you wouldn't have thought it was a scrimmage.
Yeah, some notes I took, at least if you want to know about the players. I saw big plays from Jaquan Gardner of the Seattle Dragons, who just had the jukies on, putting them all over the D.C. Defenders. And then Kyrie Cannell, the safety out of Michigan for D.C., made a huge play for the Defenders. And then Jordan Westerkamp, I think, had one of the first scores of the game, and, a tough score. He earned it on that touchdown catch. But that there was great individual plays. I would call it good, crisp football. What we saw, Bryant, no joke. We saw not a lot of flags either. I thought maybe the punt or the kickoff we might see some because the players might be confused because they are new rules. Not at all. They were out there and they played within the new rules. They executed it well. The kickoffs, the punts were all clean. There might have been, I think there was one flag on a punt. There was a block in the back, maybe. But there was nothing else going on that you normally see. I mean, if you watch other football, and you'll see those plays, I would say majority of the time there are flags. Not in this game, and we watched a full game out there. You were keen on, observing the ball spotter the entire time.
Well, the different things is what I really wanted to look at. The things that we've been talking about on the show for so long, the thing that I've criticized the most is the ball spotter. When I heard about this a year ago, I said, I don't know how necessary this position, this job is. And it seems very necessary to have the ball spotter out there doing their job. I was a little critical at first, but I think they're getting the hang of it. It is interesting to see somebody else out there spotting the ball, being in charge of that, winding a clock that is not wearing a white hat. What did you think of the ball spotter? It seemed like it was doing the job pretty well.
I thought the ball spotter was tremendous, and I was also thinking of it in terms of the other referees didn't have to worry about any of that. I mean, they would assist. If they were closer to the ball, they would flip it over to him. But that was the only person focused on just making sure the ball is put where it needs to be, while the other referees could focus on helping players looking if they're lined up right and making sure they get the calls right and making sure, the physicality gets broken up quickly. They don't have to worry about anything else. So the game moved quicker because everybody didn't have to run all over the field like a chicken with their head cut off because you had that dedicated ball spotter. I thought that was huge. It made the game move along smoothly, and I could tell watching it. Now, the winding of the clock and exactly the timing of the clock, how that all goes in real life might be different from what we saw because we saw the ball spotter and it felt like you were trying to count Mississippis. I don't know how accurate your Mississippis were being critical of the ball spotter, but I thought it was very different. You could tell the play clock was quicker and it was pushing the pace of the game, and that's what you wanted, and I thought it was tremendous to see. I also thought it was amazing to see the comeback period, which I've kind of had in the back of my mind, but didn't really anticipate loving this much. But we hit those comeback periods, and oh my goodness, that makes things so different and more exciting. DC in the first half in the comeback period came and scored 2 scores. I mean, there was
3 different possessions in the
comeback period. You don't do that. That was great.
Yeah, 3 different possessions, 4 if you count the catch, the kickoff return from Seattle. You had 4 possessions in after the 2-minute warning. So the comeback period is something to watch. It's something to be excited for. Ain't nobody going to the bathroom to beat the halftime crowds anymore during the 2-minute warning of either half because a lot of things can happen in a short amount of time.
I held it the whole time. I couldn't go to the bathroom. It's impossible. The comeback period makes that impossible, and it was really great. I mean, that was, I think head and shoulders my favorite part of what we saw today in the scrimmage in terms of the new rules and tweaks. We got to see the overtime, though. I love the overtime. I loved it. I love the overtime, maybe because it was a scrimmage, so the stakes maybe weren't as high, but we got to see the overtime, played out, and that was really cool to see, the running back and forth. That also was interesting to see. You're on, then you're off. You're on, then you're off. You see that kind of in college, but at least there's a bunch of plays in between. This is one play, you got to run off, and your defense comes out. That was different. You were thrown off by that.
It was a little weary. I felt bad for the players having to jog on and off to the sidelines every play.
You got to have your mind in it. There's no just running to the sideline and sitting down and lounging and having a Gatorade. If it's overtime, everybody's on the edge of the sideline.
I think I saw some of the linemen going off to the sideline but staying around the 5. They didn't want to go all the way to the 30 where you're supposed to go just to save a little bit of the energy. It is a little different. I did like the overtime. Very interesting how these coaches, what kind of plays they're going to run, right? Because think of this as a fourth and 5 yards to go. Do you run the ball? Do you pass it? Do you run an option play? What do you do on fourth and 5th that you can possibly do 5 times in overtime?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see the play calling in OT. You're right, and I think that's also I think today was a little, they just kind of went out and played.
working on plays, I'm sure.
Backyard football when it came to the OT, just drew it up real quick. It wasn't anything elaborate in terms of what we saw from each team because they wanted to go out there and it's a scrimmage. You're a little vanilla, but I thought also it was physical, but it wasn't like everybody got out of this thing pretty much unscathed, and that was good. We saw some players run off a little slower than when they got on, but that's how you're playing, and that was good to see. I also thought that in terms of the new stuff, the kickoff in terms of the average starting field position, I don't know yet. I'm going to say because of the physicality, the refs I think were blowing the whistle a little quicker today than they would in a regular game. So I think maybe not the 40-yard line average, in between the 30 and the 40.
Well, I think something that we've kind of seen, at least that we can say for sure on the kickoff, is not that so much the XFL wanted kickoff returns. They just wanted the kickoff returned, if that makes sense, right? Yes. Yeah. So I don't think this rule is in place to make the kickoff returner go 40, 50 yards every single time, but I think it's made to where...
To give you the opportunity
that has been, basically removed from the game of football, and to continue with that same average starting field position and to remove the high-impact hitting. And I think they accomplished those two things with this kickoff, but you're watching it. It's not a dead play anymore. You're not, checking your phone after a score. You're waiting for the kickoff. That's what every time somebody scored, I was ready for the kickoff. I was like, all right, kickoff time, baby. So I like the kickoff. I think maybe our hopes were a little too high in terms of all the returns, but at least we're going to see returns, and I think that's the important part.
Yeah, there's going to be way fewer to no touchbacks. You'll get maybe a touchback. I don't know why you would want one, but we did see a penalty on a touchdown. We did see that. So when a penalty's on a touchdown, you're going to have the penalty enforced on the kickoff, which is interesting because it makes the touchback easier, but you don't really want the touchback if you're the kicker. So what do? That's it. That's another thing. You kick it higher. But in this instance, I think we saw a touchback.
We did see a touchback. So
yeah.
Different things. We're all just trying to take it. I'm sure there's a lot of things that the XFL has probably thought of, just hasn't seen in action. So we're still a few weeks. How many weeks out?
2.5-ish weeks.
Still, the XFL is going to be making tweaks. I doubt everything's 100% finalized with the entire league. There's still enough time to make some minor changes. Obviously, they're not going to bring in a new team or anything like that, but there are going to be some tweaks here and there. Production, we this is their first run through a full production. ESPN might come back and say, this and this, we need to work on this. So this is the XFL's opportunity. So a lot of different things we noticed during that scrimmage that we didn't expect to see that we did get to see.
Oh, and the other thing that we have to report on from what we saw was what we didn't see. Double forward pass.
Yeah, did not see double forward passes. Those are going to be held in the holster until necessary.
It would be insane if you would do that at a scrimmage. Why would you give
the
that
only way
up?
I would do one is do one completely horribly wrong to throw people off a little bit. But we didn't see that, Alan. We did see most of the other rules put in place really well. Like I said, the tempo of the game, the punting, the kicking. We saw some field goals, which looked normal. Nothing really different there. So it was great football. These teams are hashing out all their final tweaks before cut day, before they finish the depth charts, and so I'm really excited for this next one to start because we haven't seen much of St. Louis and Dallas, so that's gonna be pretty cool. We're gonna have to report back on that on a mini-sode because you're gonna get a lot of those too, even with this new schedule. Because you remember Tuesdays and Thursdays now, not just Sundays. A lot of information's happening here and there.
Yeah, I think actually for this game that we're about to watch, we're not going to even see all of it, but we'll report back on what we see from the BattleHawks and the Renegades on the next episode on Thursday night for sure. Especially when it comes to the quarterbacks for the Renegades, for the BattleHawks. Got so many of them now that I want to watch. I'm excited for that. Will Nick Fitzgerald be on the field here? We'll see for the BattleHawks. He has joined the team. And, it's awesome. We're watching football now. We're not just talking about concepts or ideas. This is football in action. It's happening in front of us. And it is surreal, like we said earlier, and it's so fun to be at the stadium as this is all going down, and then it's going to be real and live and for real with stakes in just 2.5 weeks.
Ish. Alan, I will say one last thing. It's been great out here in Houston. I've had a lot of fun. I can't thank all the people that we've met, that we've worked with, that have brought us out here to work together as one team, as an official XFL podcast. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to be sad to go. I miss home, I'm not going to lie, but it is going to be sad to go to see all this work in progress, so it's been really special.
Yeah, I mean, we get to go home, we get to reassess, and then focus on February 8th, and then we're back at it. I'm going to be in D.C. watching the teams we just saw go at it live and for real. They've developed, I think, a little taste of each other, and I think they want the real thing come February 8th. I think that's going to be an interesting one. From what we saw, the Dragons and the Defenders, they're going to go at it a little bit in that one. From what we saw, the little bit of physicality, you could tell some of those players had the look in their eye. Just you wait till February 8th.
Well, you're waiting till February 8th. Any LA fans out there, I'm going to be at the LA Wildcat Block Party this Saturday, so make sure you check us out there. It's going to be a lot of fun there. Get to know some players, some coaches. That's going to be at Dignity Health Sports Park. I believe it's at noon. You have to go to their Twitter to check that out, at XFL Wildcats on Twitter and Instagram. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Alan, and we're so close to kickoff now. I just want to get here. Closer than ever, yes, I will say that. But with what we're seeing, it feels closer than ever.
It feels like it's practically here, but not quite yet. We got some more stuff to do in the meantime, like talk about what we see today on this coming Thursday show, talk about the latest transactions, and also answer any of your questions. Hit us up at XFL Show or call in 724-565-4XFL. Give us a question and we'll get to it on the next episode, which will come out late Thursday night. Remember, Tuesday mornings, Thursday nights, you'll get episodes from us each and every single week from now on, and we're looking forward to this new schedule. It's going to make the season, I think, feel thoroughly covered and even more fun. And don't forget, go to footballadvisorynetwork.com if you really want to get your fill and conversation going with other XFL fans. That is the place to fan out for sure. The footballadvisorynetwork.com, where you've got surveys and bulletin boards and all sorts of stuff to do there as fans, and really a place where the league's actually looking and listening to what fans are saying always. So definitely check it out. I'm on there each and every single day having fun and looking at stuff and reacting and talking with fellow fans. So go to footballadvisorynetwork.com. Check us out on xfl.com. And we're not far from most of your home pages, which I'm sure is xfl.com/rules. And, of course, keep an eye on that transaction page, because that's probably going to be blowing up pretty soon, too.
Anytime, it seems like anything could happen here in the XFL. Alan, don't forget, the XFL's official YouTube channel, too. You can check us out there. Remember to tell your friends about us. Subscribe to our podcast here on any podcast gimmick.
Yeah. Here's a little, just like, let's run through a scenario like they ran through a game scenario today. This is the scenario. You and your friends, gentle listener, are talking about football, and they say, yeah, what is the XFL? This is how you answer that. Yeah, what is the XFL, Bryant? What is that thing? What should I do to learn more about it?
You just hit that subscribe button on This Is the XFL Show on any podcast gimmick, and they'll get you caught up right away.
Oh, really? It's any podcast app I can do that
Any
on?
podcast. You got Android, Google,
I have
Apple,
Apple.
Spotify.
Should I leave a review, too?
You could leave a review, 5-star,
right.
if we deserve it. And if you have any questions, always reach out to us at XFL Show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
That's how you do it. All right, until Thursday's show, thanks for listening, everybody. For Bryant, I'm Alan from TDECU Stadium. This is the XFL Show. Remember, they're listening.